Recording in progress.
It is 4:30 on Friday, November 14th, 2025, and I call this a special meeting of the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call. Blaine Johnston is here. Harold Wilson.
Here.
James. Here. Thank you. Heather Giacomo.
Here.
Patrick Giddings, not here. Ken Freeze, not here. Haley Stewart.
Here.
Thank you. Welcome all new commissioners. Quick minute, let you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourself. You want Greg or Harold?
I prefer Greg.
Okay, fine.
Now, is this on or off? I can't remember.
Now it's on.
Now it's on.
Now it's on.
Yeah. I go by Greg. My first name's Harold. So if I'm in legal trouble, call me Harold. Otherwise, you can call me Greg.
Okay, Harold.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you for letting me be on this commission. I'm excited to be here. My background is I grew up here in Idaho. I think we're like 4 or 5 generations now. So as I get older, I meet less and less people who are actually seem to be from Idaho. So I grew up in Boise around State and Glenwood. So if you know where the Walmart is over there, that used to be where my house was. And times have changed, so I'm just glad to be on a preservation committee for kind of preserving history. And I teach at the College of Western Idaho. I'm the assistant dean of general education there. So that's kind of a little bit about me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
James, pronounce your full name for us, please.
I am James Abdelmanem, and I'm a professional high schooler still. I'm serving as the youth commissioner, and whilst I'm young, I kind of love Idaho, and I can't wait to inherit it. And so I've kind of created interest into being on the historic preservation through wanting to remember what hopefully one day I'll be able to recall. And I'm a professional high schooler. I do a lot of fundraising and nonprofit work for Idaho Housing Association, and that's a little bit about me.
Where do you go to high school?
I go to high school over at Meridian High School.
Okay, thank you. Haley?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me be on this commission. My name's Haley Stewart. I am a third-generation Idahoan. Me and my husband bought our first house in Meridian about 3 years ago, so we're putting down roots in Meridian and excited to grow our family here. I'm currently a senior communications specialist at Boise State University and a Vandal graduate, so excited to be part of both. Yeah.
Split household. I love it. All right, thank you. Adoption of the agenda. You're going to have to make all the motions because no one else is.
I haven't made a motion up until now. I move to adopt the agenda. I move to adopt the agenda.
And anyone can second.
I make a second to adopt the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Giacomo, seconded by Commissioner Monum. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Approval of minutes of September 25th meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of the September 25th meeting.
Motion by Commissioner Giacomo, seconded by Commissioner Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. New business, recognition and thanks. I'll come down there, Deb. Deb, I'd like to thank you for your years of service on our commission. Sorry to see you go. Wish you all the best as I drop everything. Your name tag.
Thank you.
You can't go anywhere without it. The certificate,
Thank you.
little tote bag for you,
Oh, thank you.
and a card.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much. I'll give you a little hug. So,
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say, the reason I decided to end my term was I had written a book, and now I'm going to market it. So it's going to take a lot of my time and effort. So it's called Own It, if you'd like to look at it. It's on Amazon, and it's basically to talk about not flying by the seat of your pants because your pants eventually catch on fire. So it's talking about deliberation in terms of decisions. So take a look, and if you are interested, it's there. So thank you so much. Thank you, Blaine.
Good luck.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
With that, we will go on to item 3, public input on historic preservation plan final draft for our new commissioners. Our historic preservation plan is something that we are required to do every 10 years by the State Historic Preservation Office to keep it's called CLG, it's Certified Local Government Status. So with that, Sherry, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Johnston, members of the commission. Welcome to the new members. I hope that you've all had an opportunity to review the Historic Preservation Plan version, which you have on the screen. Should have a date there at the bottom. November 14th, that's it. And we prepared a short memo to cover the plan, which you received in your packets, I presume. So I'm just going to go over that really quickly. As Commissioner Johnston has correctly stated, you are required to, or it's ideal for reservation commissions to have historic preservation plans, and your commission requested and received grant monies to do so. And we have been working on it, I would say, since the beginning of the year. I think our kickoff was maybe in January, and we did a strength, weakness, and opportunities, threats analysis, I think, in February. And then we've been clicking along pretty nicely over the course of the year, a little hiccup maybe around the summertime, and all of that is described in the Historic Preservation Plan. We had a preliminary version that the commissioners reviewed, and then we placed a draft online. There's a website, a web page just for the preservation plan. And then we also provided that draft to the State Historic Preservation Office and the reviewers in the audience. So that document plus the document that Cassandra also made comments on were reviewed. And there's this handy little list of the kinds of things that we changed in the document and are reflected in the draft. Best efforts, we had typos and needed some wording changes, so we fixed that. Some of these are pretty minor, but I felt it was important to list just to acknowledge that we did revisit some of these topics. The acronyms, references from the comp plan. We added information about what the Historic Preservation Fund is. We cleaned up some reference regarding some of the prehistory citations we had. The work of Antonia Hedrick sort of globally referenced, and we added some other citations, and we modified the citations page. We also had some little bit of confusion, or just the way we described the National Register evaluation process. We really didn't talk at any length about the criteria that are required, both for significance and integrity, so I added quite a bit of new language there. Added HPC to the list of funding sources, added links to some online resource pages. I think that was Cassandra's catch. A couple of strategies, I believe, came from the SHPO, and so I've added those. And let me go back real quick up to that NRHP evaluation. One of the things that we determined was that Table 3 includes surveys of sites that were surveyed, that most of the ones that are agriculturally associated may not be extant any longer. We may have lost them. So I've added something to that effect in that section, but we also added agricultural resources as a priority for future survey. So that's the reference to Strategy 1.1A. So that strategy was amended. Strategies 1.1D and 2.2A were amended, and when they're amended, then I have to fix them in the chart at the very back that has them prioritized, so I did that. Added reference to historic tax incentives, and then the implementation table was corrected. So I think that summarizes the edits. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have one question. Can we go down to the list of properties that are there, specifically the Mittlider Farms? Not right offhand, I don't.
Is it listed on the register, or it's the other table?
I think it's the other table.
Okay, so that's on
Well,
21?
I think it's listed on the registry as a district, but you have non-extant. Exactly,
Oh, then that is listing in the, that is
yeah,
listed.
right there.
Yep,
Page 19.
So what does non-extant mean?
it's not there anymore.
Mr. Wilson has a tie, or Commissioner Wilson has a tie to the property.
Well,
So,
yeah, I just know recently, I think we've gone and seen there's at least the barn that might still be standing there, which is, because of the unique structure of that barn and design, I think that might be why it's on the historical register. I haven't confirmed, unless something happened in the last few years that I don't know about, I think it's
Well,
still,
it might
barn
be-
is standing.
I might be speaking out of turn, but the district itself may have been for multiple
Buildings?
structures, attributes, whatever, and so the fact that it's, that those are missing, it is no longer a district, whether, I'm way over my,
I don't know.
do you want, would it be all right if
Yeah,
Alexis
you're-
answers?
while we're here, we might as well get a clarification, so.
Hi, guys. I'm Alexis Matrone. I'm the Certified Local Government Coordinator with the State Historic Preservation Office. That's a mouthful. So we caught this kind of later on, and we, had discussed to put it back into one of the initiatives to go back and resurvey and really figure out what's still there, what's not there anymore. But as a district goes, if, there's no hard percentage that we would go off of, but the district is listed based on characteristics and evaluations that even if one property is taken away, we would want to relook at it. But I think we kind of figured out a general number of close to, was it between 80 and 90%?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I think they're just talking about this particular, the Mittlider Farmstead Historic District, just this one. So we actually haven't addressed the other table, which we might mention.
I'm talking about a different table.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many properties in this district are still there or not there anymore. That is something that we could definitely go back and look at, but this is the only one that's gone now.
But he's saying there's a barn still on the site, so it's not completely erased. There's still
Okay.
one barn, but my assessment was we'd have to go back, look at the barn, not as the district, but the
Right.
barn itself might be eligible.
okay, but because it was listed as a district with multiple buildings, because some of those have been demoed, removed, whatever, the district itself does not exist anymore, but if there's a barn there, it may be eligible,
Individual.
maybe. Okay. All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
I thought we were talking-
Related, but. Okay. Any other questions for me? And then we also hope, we did not receive any comments online, to my knowledge. We did not check it this morning. But if there are people in the audience who have comments, or then, of course, and any comments that you all have before you agree to adopt the plan and move it forward to City Council for their consideration, this is where we're at.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Commission have any questions for Ms. Freeman?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, so the thing that I was referencing a moment ago, this is something that I found on the other table. So this is the list, table number 3 has the eligible properties. And I started going through and just doing a virtual survey through Google Maps of these places. And most of the downtown ones are still there, but, these were surveyed, some of them 20 years ago. So I did find of the farmsteads, nearly 90% of them are no longer there from my very preliminary Google survey. So we did add in the strategies, one of the strategies is probably to go out and resurvey a lot of these properties because it was eye-opening to me, for sure. So this data set is pretty outdated.
So I guess if we're going to survey, if they're gone, we can basically just do a windshield survey. Okay. So, all right, thank you. Any other questions? Comments?
Can I just ask one? I have read through this, but I can't really remember. Does this new draft plan give any additional powers to this commission to advise or, like, say, you can't tear something down? Just wondering. What is it now, and is it going to change?
Immediately, no. I think in some of our goals down in the future, we may have the possibility to do so if mayor or city council would agree with that down the line. So, am I correct with that, Mr. Neri? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. So,
Goal 2, I think. So Chairman Johnston and Commissioner Wilson, to further, just expound a little bit on that. It is something that the council discussed, the commission discussed. It was something that we've addressed with the public as much as we've had public interaction. And goal 2, you're in the prioritized strategies. If you go back to, yeah, that's okay. Let's see, goal 2 is to sustain Meridian's authentic community character by preserving and protecting our historic cultural resources. So these are the objectives that we came up with, and actually we've highlighted the word conserve here because we were using the word preserve and feeling like the strategies were coming up a little short of actually being able to preserve anything. But you'll see that there's a layering here if we do 2.2.A first, which is the SHPO is reviewing a survey of some properties downtown that would form potentially a couple of small districts. And with local historic district designation comes the possibility of protection. So if you accomplish 2.2.A and you accomplish 2.2.B, which is to address the particulars that haven't been addressed, and then you could consider local district designation, and at that time you would be able to put in some protection measures. In terms of actually having power to do anything, that is vested in your code, and you do have a fairly boilerplate Preservation Commission code that is consistent with state code provisions for Historic Preservation Commission. Again, I'm getting a little bit into Mr. Neri's territory, but I think I'm safe to say that you could, as a commission, be more assertive in terms of protecting properties, but you have chosen, at the guidance of your mayor and council, to be more of an education and a support organization. Okay. We did spend a bit of time figuring out ways to make you a little bit more robust, and so there are some provisions in here, like promoting preservation of Old Town, that actually seems to be a little incremental win that you had with the commission and council, where they were like, hey, that's a good idea. Why couldn't, maybe you should be helping the Urban Renewal Agency. So you will see in here strategies that will lead to a more progressive, more of an advocacy type organization. But you have that power should you choose to, if it's acceptable to the city decision makers. At some point, you could actually do that. You could do design review. You could do designations and so forth. One other, just like background for Haley and James and you, Greg, having this commission in the Parks and Recreation Department means that you are not in the flow of the planning and development activities, which are generally where, permits are issued. So there is some conversation in this plan as well, maybe under Goal 4, I think, which is more of an operational thing, that at some point you might consider having a planning department liaison to work with your staff. I think it's 4.2, or maybe it's, no, it's 4.3. Ensure that there are sufficient resources for your commission to fulfill your duties. So if in fact, that's one of the questions the council had, could you guys do design review? Are you set up for design review? In some ways, maybe, some of you have qualifications that are important, the architecture, for example. But if you don't know when the permits are coming in, and you're not in the flow of public hearings and so forth, it would take a little bit more a conscious effort to make you, to prime you for that activity. That was a very long-winded response to your question, but, okay.
But with Sherry's comment, you can sign up on the city website to get notifications of all applications coming before city planning and zoning. And it lists everything. It may not be pertinent to HPC or whatever, but you can get those notifications, so you can look at and review them. You can review the documents, the drawings, stuff like that. And I get them, I look at them, find out where the property's at, go to Google Maps, whatever, look at it. If something is important to us, then we can bring it before the commission.
Okay.
So
there is kind of an informal process.
informal, yes.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I have a point to speak to that. So I have internally been working with the Planning Department on an SOP on this item, exploring the development of a formal process through the Planning Division for a review. So I will present to the Commission on what we've come up with at a future meeting. So this is something I'm actively working on.
Great. Awesome. Thanks.
That's how it's supposed to work.
All right.
You have strategies, you're supposed to, look at the strategies, see if you're making progress, and invest your time where you think it's, the most useful, so. And you're very fortunate to have Cassandra as a staff person, because otherwise it would be you guys scratching your heads going, what strategy are we on? So.
Thank you, appreciate it, Sherry.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
James.
On the table 3, when we do look at revisiting that list in that table, are we looking for if the building is still there and if the property is still there, or if it's changed?
Yes. In fact, we'll come on, we have a topic coming down next, so that we can kind of talk about that. It'll come up. So yeah, they want to look at it. It's just a windshield survey. So they drive by, look at it. Is the property the same as it was when it was originally listed 10 years ago, whatever? If it's there, then yeah, it's still eligible. If it's been changed, it's now a subdivision, then that property's not there anymore. So yeah.
Just to clarify, James and the other members of the commission, in Appendix D is a list of the historic surveys that have been done, and that is where those sites have been identified. And you can see that some of these date back quite a ways. Some are fairly recent, but it's entirely possible that some of those sites were surveyed in the early 2000s. So the likelihood of them just not being there and it's not an evaluation. If you find something that you feel is sort of on the fence, like this situation where there's a barn still standing, or there's siding, or there's been an addition, my recommendation to you as commissioners would be to make a notation, and then if you have a list of properties that you want to be resurveyed, then that's the kind of thing that you would use your CLG monies, so that you're not the one who's actually making the decision, but you're running it past someone who can actually do a new survey form. Right. So there's that 1980 back down at the bottom. So people do not go out and survey just for the fun of it, typically. They're doing it because they've received, in your case, you are kind of doing it for the fun of it. You think there's a need, and so you pay for the survey. But a lot of these surveys were done to comply with a federal requirement. There was some federal nexus with the project that required them to assess the cultural resources, transmission lines or canals, and so someone went out and did a survey, and they caught some of these properties in the process. So you would be going out with a more intentional look just for agricultural resources.
Thank you.
And as you can see on the highlight, that was one of the changes that was added to this plan, is looking at the properties previously evaluated in that Table 3 to reevaluate.
Thanks, Sherry. Item 4, review and adopt proposed Historic Preservation Commission bylaws. Mr. Neri?
Mr. Chair, I have one quick requested addition for this plan. As we have several new commissioners, one final change that I'd like to request is adding our new commissioners' names, and maybe just adding a past commissioner to Deborah Pitts.
Okay.
Commissioners, thank you for letting me be here today. I just have a fairly short presentation, or I hope. What we're doing for all of the commissions throughout the city, all of them have, when we readopted some code a few years ago, and I knew I could drive it from here, right? Oh, there we go. Oh, perfect, thank you. So when we readopted some of the code a few years ago, and reestablishing all the commissions, creating some structure in our city code for all of them, creating some clarity as to what the positions are and terms and how the positions change. One of the things the council had us do was add a provision for bylaws, so there was some consistency across all the various commissions throughout the city to have some bylaws as to how they operate. We tried to look at it, at our team from my office, and trying to find basically how most of these operate. And so I think as we've gone through these with the various commissions, most of the response we've gotten back from those commissions is, well, that's kind of how we do it. Well, that was the intent. We weren't trying to create new worlds for everybody, but we do want to make sure that everybody gets introduced to them and that we do adopt them so that we can let the city council know that we have met all the requirements in the code and we've adopted the bylaws as required. But let's go ahead and talk through that. So again, the Idaho Code provides the authority for cities to create commissions. Historic preservation is one of those uniquely that is identified specifically in the Idaho Code. So Idaho has recognized that in various cities around the state, there is a necessity to have a historic preservation commission to look at these things. And they vary, and you talked a little bit about your commission here, and some of them are more regulatory. In the city of Boise, they do have a more regulatory body where things need to go for approval in certain areas in their historic districts, like the North End and some of the others that they have throughout the city, when there changes are to be made. Others are more like this commission, where they are really trying to identify and preserve that history of that community, whether it's through photographs, it's through video, or some other means to make sure that that history is captured before it's lost. One of the comments I was thinking of as they were talking with the previous item, a lot of those surveys that were done, and Commissioner Chair Johnston was here, some of those were done in anticipation of those properties being gone. So we did a lot of surveys and a lot of work from this commission anticipating some of the work that was coming. Highway 16 was a good example. Some of the other growth that we've seen in the city, especially to the west of the downtown core, a lot of the work that was done with this commission's input and participation was simply because of those reasons, to make sure we did capture what was there before it wasn't there anymore. Anyway, as this slide tells you, again, where this all comes from, again, the Idaho Code, that feeds into the city code, again, and the bylaws are then the framework for operating and convening meetings and conducting business for the commissions, and the parliamentary rules that come with that. And Idaho Code, like I said, identifies that the mayor and council shall have the authority to create these, and then our code, that's what we've done, is we have created in the city code what the commissions are, what the duties are, who's qualified. All of them have their unique characteristics depending on what the commission is. Solid Waste Commission is obviously looking for people that are interested in that area. Parks Commission in that. Planning and zoning in that. So that's kind of, each one of them has their own unique requirements of what they're looking for, and also whether or not they have to be a resident. Predominantly, almost all of our commissions require there to be residents, but there's a few that don't. Arts Commission was one over the years that has allowed other folks that have an interest in the arts community, whether they live in Meridian or not, but have an engagement with the city, have allowed them to be that. But we have traditionally try to keep the commissions primarily, if not exclusively for some of them, to be residents of the city. So anyway, the bylaws, again, are pretty straightforward. Again, they have how the officers are elected annually, what their responsibility and terms are. We have a chair and a vice chair of each commission, and we do re-elect or elect new ones each year. The bylaws will then show how the agendas are prepared, how the meetings are conducted, who prepares the minutes, how subcommittees, if there are going to be subcommittees, how those are established, and how the voting works. So again, really just kind of the mechanics of how the commissions function. Parliamentary rules, again, the rules establish procedure for communicating and making decisions. You know, one of the things that's, I believe this is Colonel Robert, who is where Robert's Rules comes from. I believe that's who that picture is, supposed to be. So, which was during the Civil War was when those were established. But again, most of those things are fairly standard in most functional meeting anymore. I tell people oftentimes, Robert's Rules, unfortunately, are really great for running the Kiwanis Club. They're not always as functional for running governmental meetings quite the same. So we have sort of expanded those and sort of morphed those into what functions best for the governmental entity without really getting very hung up on things like when motions can be made and when seconds can be made and how things are tabled and whether or not they can be laid on the table and all those kinds of things. Robert's Rules has a lot of rules like that. But we, again, try to make sure we're also primarily concerned with open meeting law requirements. Those are legal requirements by the Idaho Code, and we are making sure that the noticing is done properly. We're making sure that people have adequate opportunity to participate in the meetings and that they're aware of it and that those get published and that all of those types of things, again, the requirements, notices, amendments, minutes, all of those things are done. The reason being, of course, the violations of those things can actually be a crime if you intentionally violate those things. And they can also be a problem if you intentionally violate those things. So we try very hard, and all of my team from the attorney's office staffs all of our commissions for that reason, to make sure we are compliant with the Idaho Code and the city code. So again, as I stated earlier, when we reestablished the codes a few years ago, the mayor had all of us go through, or had our department go through all of the codes in the city and update them, try to bring them more up to date to the current structure and how things were being done, and have some consistency again and put them all in one section of the city code. And one of those conditions again was to putting in bylaws. And so this was how those were affected and put into place. So again, the bylaws, as I stated, are really pretty straightforward. They have a purpose, they have an officer section, they have how the meetings are being done and how the meeting reminders are done and quorums are required. You may hear occasionally in some settings, if we're not going to have a quorum, we can still go ahead and meet and talk about stuff. And the answer is no, you can't. If there's not a quorum, you can't have a meeting. So yes, if the people from this meeting and we don't have a quorum and they want to go somewhere else and talk about whatever they want to talk about, I can't control that and I'm not going to go. But if you have a meeting that is noticed for the public to participate and we don't have a quorum, we will then have to cancel the meeting and have another meeting at another date. All of our meetings have to have an agenda. Those agendas have, again, the order of business. The staff, Cassandra prepares that monthly, that with the chair. Mayor Simison sits in on that meeting as well, helping set up the agenda. I sit in on that meeting as well, but making sure that the agenda, again, meets the compliance that's required from a public meeting notice, as well as create some order for that. The chair then runs the meeting, does direct when people can speak and not. We then prepare the minutes from that are then put on our website. And then if we need to establish subcommittees, and we can talk about that for the future, then there's methods we have to follow when we do that. I mean, it still has to follow the public meeting requirements, and there still is a necessity to meet those needs, even if it's a subcommittee of this group. Voting, again, is done on the dais in front of folks. There are no secret ballots. That's not allowed in Idaho. So everything has to be public. That generally has never been an issue to people, but just to be aware, that is a requirement. Most of the time at the city council level, there are times that people wish they could vote in secret, and the answer always is no. Everybody has to see how you vote, whether you would like that or not. Again, to amend the bylaws, there's a process to do that. And then again, we can adopt them, and then we will move them forward to the city council. So that's kind of what we're looking for today. We would ask for the commission's approval to adopt the bylaws that have been proposed, and that we will then move it forward with a resolution to the city council for approval. Do you have any questions? That's it.
That's what we've been doing, Bill.
Sounds like what we're doing, yeah, which was absolutely the intent. I think if we got a different response from any of the commissions, then we definitely missed the mark, because that was not the intention. It was simply to make sure we organized as the code requires in a method to make sure it was clear how the meetings were conducted.
Any questions from Mr. Neri?
I do have one question.
Sure.
It's procedural. Under Article 2, Section 4, vacancy,
Mm-hmm.
it says a special election may be held at any time to fill a vacancy. Would it actually be an election? Like, there's.
I think that's for the officer positions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's for the officer positions. So
Okay,
if
so
the,
election within our.
Correct.
Okay.
yeah, so if a commissioner steps down, as Commissioner Pitts did, then the mayor puts out a notice to the public. The mayor can then select who they wish. The process we have followed historically, just for the record's purpose, the mayor has usually interviewed candidates with the chair. I think Mr. Chair has been a part of that a number of times with interested parties. I think they have probably discussed often what they're looking for at that particular point in time, if they're looking for someone with a particular skill sets. But yeah, that was intended for if the president or the chair or the vice chair decide to step down during the course of the year.
Thank you, yeah. That answers my question. Didn't read carefully enough.
It's okay. Other questions?
Do we have a motion to approve the bylaws as submitted by Mr. Neri?
Mr. Chair, I motion that we adopt the proposal by Mr. Neri of the bylaws.
Mr. Chair, I second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Monum, seconded by Commissioner Stewart. I'm going to take a while to get me names down. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Neri, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Old business, 5, review and approve statement of work for tag reconnaissance survey update to include SHPO requested information. Ms. Schiffler, what do you have for us?
Attached to the agenda was a statement of work for TAG to do the requested work to update the reconnaissance survey that was done in 2023, but then SHPO gave a lot of edits and updates and revisions that were requested. And so they sent a scope of work. It's $1,500, as Sherry verbally quoted a few months back. And so
Okay.
asking for approval to proceed with that.
Mr. Neri, we just need to approve the work. We don't need to approve an expenditure at this time, correct? Okay.
Yes, so it's for $1,500 for it to move forward.
Okay, so we will need a motion to approve the work for tag reconnaissance survey to update the survey for a price not to exceed $1,500.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the statement of work that TAG has presented for the reconnaissance survey update, not to exceed the amount of $1,500.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Giacomo, second by Commissioner Wilson for statement of work for tag to complete the reconnaissance survey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 6, Section 106 review, memorandum of agreement. James, this is where your question came in on the survey. little history on this. This property is located at the corner of McMillan, south of McMillan, east of Black Cat. It was an old farmstead, and the Lemp Canal ran just north of the property, south of McMillan Road. The proposed development plans to cover that canal. Well, doing so destroys historic property. So, in doing so, the applicant had to submit an application to Corps of Engineers for approval because it's basically ties to a navigable waterway. So the Corps of Engineers it's a Section 106 review. Long story short is the developers agreed to at least have one interpretive sign installed that describes the history of the Lemp Canal. Once that's done, or a draft is done, this commission will review that draft along with the Corps of Engineers and the State Historic Preservation Office for approval. I think I got that right, correct, Ms. Schiffler? I'm trying to read my notes.
I think so. I'm sorry. I was not listening.
Oh, that's all right.
I was going back to the statement of work, and I verbally just said the wrong thing. It was not 1,500. It was 2,500. I don't know if that, sorry, that's, we can come back to that in a minute, but Mr. Neary.
He wasn't paying attention either. So.
Let's come back to that in a minute because I'm derailing
Okay.
the agenda item we're on.
Yeah. So basically, the developer will make a sign, do some history. We'll review the content of the sign along with SHPO, and if the content is approved, then they will install one sign as the development gets completed.
Yes.
And they're going to cover the canal over. Yeah. So. That was just the review of that. That's what the Section 106 review update is just let us know that they're going to make the signage. There was some pushback originally from, of all people, the Canal District. So, but they don't have as much power as the Corps of Engineers. So, anyway, they're going to make the sign for us. With that, we'll go back to item 5.
And just to be clear on that one, so the agreement is between SHPO and the developer. So we're just getting a glance at it. We're not any final decision of on that. We're just getting.
Yeah, if we don't like content or something on sign, we can let SHPO know that, can we change this, wordage, whatever. But yeah, SHPO's going to have the final agreement on the signage. Okay. All right. Back to item 5. Mr. Neary.
Yes, sir.
The estimate from TAG is 2,500, not 1,500.
Oh.
Do we need to redo motions for that correct amount?
Oh, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, what I would do is move to reconsider your prior motion.
Okay.
And then you can amend it to the proper amount.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider item 5 on our agenda, specifically our vote to approve the spending of $1,500.
I second that motion.
Motion by, I hate this. Motion by James, seconded by Commissioner Wilson, to reconsider item 5 for the work for TAG to change the amount from 1,500 to 2,500. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none? Thank you so much. All right. Item 7, other project updates. Potential National Historic Register nomination of Zamzow's Mill.
Hold on. Do we have to go back? So we reopened it, right? Now we have to vote to actually.
I thought we did.
So I think we.
Well,
I'm so
you are
sorry.
correct. I think the intention, what I took from the way the vote evolved, is the intention of the commissioner was to reconsider the vote to change the amount, and that's what the commission felt they were voting on?
Yes.
Okay, as long as everyone's clear, that's what your intention was, and that's what you meant by your motion to reconsider, was to include the new amount.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought you meant, and that's what
Okay.
I was thinking the second meant, so I think you're okay.
I think we all need to read Robert's rules tonight.
I hate high finance. Okay, we all clear on that?
Yes.
Okay. Zamzel's Mill. I received word from the family just the other day that they do not wish to have the mill listed at this time, but they will reach out to this commission if they ever change their mind. So luckily, it's just been conversations and stuff for have that listing, so we have not really spent any money on it. We will have an item next month to look at other possibilities that for register nominations. So right now, the mill is not there. The elongated coin machine, I just sent Ms. Schiffler some emails for drafts on the design for elongated coin machine. Give the new commission members an update. We had a idea from one of our commission members to put a elongated coin machine in, possibly the lobby, we don't know yet, but you put a penny in, it has a die, they make elongated coins. So Commissioner Freeze has got some ideas for us for designs for the machines. So again, next month, we will elaborate a little bit further. I have not heard back from Josh Everts on whether they are still interested in sponsoring this event for us. So hopefully by next month, we'll have heard something from him also, and we can proceed with this next year.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Chair, I have one note.
yeah,
And that note is that the penny is no longer being produced.
I was going to say.
So while there are still billions and billions of them, and this probably wouldn't pose a problem, if there are any other coins visible in that, we may want to
look
discuss
at that.
those
in the future.
options, yes.
Save your pennies, people. So we'll sell them for a dime a piece with the bill.
There you go.
Any other discussion on the coin machine? If you have any other topics for next month other than what I've already brought up, let Ms. Schiffler know. With that, we'll have, typically, normal year, our meetings falls on Thanksgiving. Our fourth Thursday in December falls between Christmas and New Year. So we usually have just one combined meeting in December for November, December. So that's what next meeting is for. Like I said, if you have any other agenda items you might want to talk about, send them to Ms. Schiffler. With that, we will see everybody on Friday, December 12th here. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to second that.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're done, people. Thank you so much for your first meeting, everybody.
Thank you.
Hopefully our future ones will go smoother with your chairman. Yeah, I know. I'm an alumni of both schools, so.
I'm also a Vandal.
So,
I work at Boise State.
well, yeah. Yeah, my wife's